Hey everybody. So I'm going to show you how to trace something that might be a little more complicated, like a drawing or a signature. And I'm going to find this image here. So what I did was I put this into Photoshop and I made it a little higher res, higher contrast, and you can see it's a raster and it's all pixelated. And I'm going to do the same process that I did with the leaf graphic ones. I'm going to select it and go into Image Trace, and it makes a copy that it understands and leaves me with this version of it until I expand it. Okay, and so now I have these vectors, and if I zoom in you can see what I mean, and we no longer have these less is more graceful curves. We have a lot of super complicated twists and turns. Now the vinyl cutter, if I print this out, say 2 by 2 inches, it cannot handle this little teeny tiny blade on this material. It just twists and turns in these cuts, and it just literally rips the material. However, if I was to print this 6 feet long by whatever, 3 feet wide, it would probably be fine. But what I'm going to do is show you how to make this a little bit more manageable. And the first thing I'm going to do, well, I can do this. I can also see, if I go into my direct selection tool, that it's in pieces. So it's quite complicated and can be quite complicated to clean up. So one thing I can do to put a little bit of a jump start on that process is to go into Object, Path, and Simplify. And in here, I'm going to zoom in on it. Sorry. So you can really see what's going on here. Another way I can see it better is that I'm going to make it empty and make it just a stroke. And I'm going to make it a thin stroke so it's a little bit more manageable to look at. And there it is. Okay, so now I can really see all these incredibly small details that I really don't need. So I just select all, go into Object, Path, and Simplify. And watch what happens when I change this. I'm going to hit Preview, and it's telling me that my original has about 8,500 anchor points. Wow, that's a lot of editing. That actually gives it even more. So what I can do is I reduce the number of anchor points, making that more manageable. And you see how it really changes the characteristic of the drawing. You may or may not stylistically like these things. But what's important here is you see this kind of gnarling up where it turns into circles or knots that really need to be cleaned up. And so I really can't, that's way too much work to try to fix that. So what I'm going to do when I work with this is a kind of less is more. Just bring it down incrementally till I think it's making the cleanup task easier without really jeopardizing the integrity of the image itself. And so now I've got it from 8,500 points to almost 6,000. I think I can get it down a little bit further. Not too much there. Nope, doesn't like that. Okay, it's not really doing any more. It needs more of an angle threshold to do anything else. So I see a couple of problems there. So I'm going to, okay, we're going to go with that. And now my job at this point is really to first delete some of these, use my direct selection tool, and go in and delete. And you can see this can end up being super, super tedious. But here is a point. So I'm going to zoom in on this spot here. Now this is a common troubleshooting thing with the vinyl cutter. So this is something that I wanted to show you. This kind of curly knot thing that happens here. This you don't want, because the vinyl cutter will actually cut that and you'll have a bunch of holes in your piece. So I'm going to go in. One thing I could do is go into the pen tool and delete some of those. And then I can either, if I need the shape to be there, I can go back in and draw it. And I can also see there's something else that needs to be deleted. And I can change, convert. Sorry about that. That to a nice curve if that's what I want. And voila. So there's a lot of this kind of cleaning up that could happen. So I need to check my image and kind of go through it and delete or edit any of these complicated knots. So you see there's another one. Pretty common to go in there and with my pen tool kind of subtracting that, get rid of that one, and replacing it however I want it to be. And so there. Often you also see areas, let me select all of this, and maybe I took it out, there's another knot there, where you can see all these little knots, knot. But often you get in the tracing is you get a bunch of extra paths or extra anchor points that can be easily deleted and made into nicer kind of curves. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is an image here. So here is one that I've already done the painstaking work of deleting a bunch of the extra stuff. You see that there's actually no closed paths up here at all. And I fixed a lot of the details. There is still a lot of tolerance that the vinyl cutter can put up with. So while this couldn't be, again, this couldn't be cut or printed 2 by 2 inches, but I made an example of this that I believe is 3.5 by 4.5 inches, something like that, and it cut just fine. So I can bring up a ruler and see that this is 7 inches, so I can select everything and reduce my image to make it fit into a piece of vinyl I might have that's 4 inches by, let's say, 4 inches. While not wasting too much material, or fill that material nicely, and that looks pretty good. I'm also going to select all and make sure that my stroke weight is 0.001. Okay, and now I'm ready to go to the Silhouette Connect. Okay, thanks everyone.